Hey everyone, it's Keeley here for Soy and Shea, and thank you so much for joining me for today's soap making video where we're going to go and make a Dead Sea mud soap. Now it has been quite a number of years since I made this soap, and I can't believe I've put it off for this long because I absolutely love this style of soap. It just feels like a little mini spa when you're in the shower using it, and it is full of so many minerals. Feels absolutely amazing on the skin while you are cleaning. But I was talking to Lee from Wicked Lee Goods a little while ago, and we were talking about Dead Sea mud, and I thought I really must get some more in and go ahead and make one. So that's what we're going to do today. Now the Dead Sea mud soap is currently available on the website. It is one of the Claytanical soaps because it uses all natural colorants and essential oils to create this soap. So the sort of grey brownish look is from the Dead Sea mud, and then the really bright green swirls, that is using glacial clay, which is sourced from northwest Canada, and it's the only green colorant, natural green colorant that I have found to go into soap that holds its color beautifully and always pops in whatever you add it into. So today we're going to go and make that Dead Sea mud soap. Let's go. All right, so I've got my oils and my lye water, hopefully to the right temperature. We are experiencing days which are about 20 degrees Celsius, which I know for some people is still going to be lovely and warm, but it is actually quite cool for where I live. And it is playing havoc with the soap making. I've got to try and get that right temperature again to stop it from tracing too fast. That's going to annoy me up there. I've been so used to using my cordless one, stick blender, but I think we're going to need the little bit more oomph power to mix our mud into the soap. But I have just poured my lye water in. I'm going to give it a little bit of a mix and bring it up to emulsion to give us plenty of working time. All right, I'm going to just leave it at that. So it's at emulsion, but not at trace. So that's where it's actually all just holding together, but we haven't got those soapy lines on the top. Into this little jug here, I am going to pour off a bit of soap so we can get a little bit of color other than a brown soap, because that is what we're gonna have when we put Dead Sea mud into it. Now what I'm going to do is pour some of this off in here. I can tell this is going into false trace right now because it's so cold. This actually goes into false trace, and you can start seeing everything separating out, but we will get that sorted in just a moment. What I am going to do is give my mud a mix with some oils just to start getting it going without having to overstir my big bucket. So I'm going to get this mixed in. It doesn't take too much to get those lumps and clumps out, but I still don't want to accelerate the trace in here, especially seeing as we're going into false trace with this cold weather. All right, let's get that all scraped out. I'm also going to get my stick blender cleaned off because we are going to add a little bit of colour into this other pot, and I don't want this mud interfering with that colour. So let's get that off of there, and we'll pop that in there, and then I'll get this jug scraped out, make sure all of that mud is back into our soap. All right, so I've got that one all scraped out. Into this other pot here, I have got some glacial sea clay, which is going to go in here, and this always gives such a beautiful green. So I'm hoping this beautiful bright green is really going to pop against the colour of the mud here. It's one of the very few natural green colours that I've been able to find which actually holds its colour all through saponification, and then once it's actually all through the cure, and once it's onto the shelf as well. Now into my little jug here, I have got a blend of essential oils in here. We've got some rosemary, peppermint, eucalyptus and patchouli. So they're all really, really strong, bold essential oils, because the mud does have a little bit of a distinct aroma to it that you do want to cover up, and these essential oils always do such a good job. All right, that is looking nice. It is coming up to a bit of a medium trace, so I do want to work just that little bit quicker to make sure I can get at least a little bit of a swirl of colour through here. We'll see how it goes. I hate soaping in winter, but it's the time when I need to actually start getting on top of doing lots of soap making, getting ready for the busy season. I think I might have just needed to get my oils just that little bit warmer to stop or to slow down that trace that we were getting, because it was tracing before I put the mud in. So I don't think it's anything to do with the mud in there. So let's get that out the way. We'll go and grab a mold. So I have had questions from people, things like what water do I use to, you know, get that really nice fluid soap. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. I use the same amount of water each and every time, and sometimes I get beautiful fluid soap and other times I don't. There is so much that actually goes into how your soap behaves, and one of those big influencing factors that so many people just don't consider is your actual climate. Even things like elevation above sea level can actually affect how things behave. This has gotten real chunkies. Let's see how we go. So, you know, even humidity, that is the biggest thing for me. If it's a really humid day, no, I don't bother soaping, because it is just going to be an absolute nightmare to soap when that humidity is high. You know, there's so many things that go into, you know, how a soap will actually behave, which is why when people say, what's my water amount? I very rarely actually answer, because honestly, it doesn't matter. It might behave well today and it might behave badly as well. Anyway, let's get that in there. Oh, I'm going to get these buckets scraped on out. So I've just given that a bit of a knockdown just to get it a nice even layer. I am not going to do too much for the top. I'm just going to swirl my chopstick through it just to give it a little bit of pattern. I want this to be like a spa style of soap, and I tend to find spa soaps, I prefer them to be nice and simple on the top, not too pokey and that sort of thing. So I don't want to do spoon tops or waves or anything like that. So we'll just put the chopstick through just to give it a little bit of pattern. That also pushes my soap out to make it nice and even. And there it is. There is our Dead Sea Mud soap in the mold, and we're going to leave it sit, and we'll be back in just a moment and we'll cut it open and we'll see how that green pops against the color of that mud. All right, it is the next day and we're ready to cut into our Dead Sea Mud soap. It is smelling so good. The essential oils really do shine through on this one and cover up that sort of mineral smell of the mud. Is going to be such a beautiful spa bar to use. Let's get it all lined up on Ida so we get some nice chunky end pieces for our odds and ends, and we'll cut through, and thunk goes Ida. Brought you just that little bit closer so I don't have to lean so far to the camera. Oh, that is a big chunky piece of glacial clay in there, but I can see from this side we're going to start getting a few little bits of swirls going through this one. Oh, it smells so good. There's something about peppermint that really does brighten up a soap and really brings it to life, and it's just makes it a perfect morning soap to use, in my opinion. But I love the color this has gone, and the sort of speckles that you can see from the mud throughout that soap as well, and that green just, it really pops against that mud color. That's a bit of an interesting drop in there, because this did thicken up quite a bit on me. That's why I haven't really got my little curly whirlies in here, but it does still look absolutely amazing. I just got a whiff of the mud as I broke that piece off from this previous one as we're getting through to the middle of the soap here. but I'm super excited to be bringing this mud soap back out into the range, and I will try and keep it a permanent part because I absolutely love this bar of soap. I can't believe I've left it so long. The last time I made one in 2019 and one in 2021. So that's how long it's been since I made this soap in terms of doing a video, and I don't think I've actually made it for the shelf again since 2021 either, but I'm so pleased to have it back. It will be available, what we are sitting about mid-July, so it will be available at about mid-August if you are interested. That will be on the Soy and Shea website. But thank you so much for coming along with me as I made the Dead Sea Mud Soap Bar. I hope you've enjoyed coming along, and if you did, why not leave me a thumbs up or any comments down below. And until the next video comes out, I hope you have a good one, and I will see you then. Bye.